Gentlemen, welcome to the first ever video on my brand new YouTube channel. This channel is for middle-aged men who have decided that they want to turn back the clock on aging. My name is Lance Hitchings, and in this video, I'm going to share with you my personal story and talk about why I decided to create this channel in the first place, where I intend to take it, and what I intend to do with it in the future. Now, by profession, I'm an illustrator and an animator. I'm not a fitness coach. I'm not a nutritionist or a doctor or a personal trainer. In other words, I am not an authority on the subject of turning back the clock on aging, which means that there is no reason that you should listen to anything that I say, unless you count studying and researching the subject as a layperson for years on end, scouring the internet for any information that I could find. Signing up for countless courses on everything from boosting my testosterone and building muscle as an aging man to courses on nutrition, nootropics, skincare, erectile dysfunction, male pattern baldness, joint health, you name it. And then taking everything that I learned and turning it into an action plan that actually produced results. Now, if that counts for anything, then yeah, I might be considered an authority. So a few years back, things were not going so good for me. I was fat. I weighed about 270 pounds. I had no energy. I was eating like shit, picking out on junk food. I looked tired and old, and I felt like my life was winding down, like it was drawing to a close, like all the good stuff, all the fun stuff was in the past, and I had nothing to look forward to except a steady decline into old age. And I decided that that was not what I wanted. That was not the path that I was going to take. The time had come to try and turn things around. And I felt like it was now or never, that if I didn't change things for the better, then it was never going to happen. So I did what every other guy that I know of has done. I set some goals. I started exercising and eating better. And I reached my goals, or at least I came close enough. And I congratulated myself on having reached my goals, and then I quit and went back to my old lifestyle because I'd reached my goals. And about a year or two later, I found myself right back where I started, and thus started an ongoing cycle of exercising and getting in shape and losing weight and getting fit and reaching my goals, and then quitting and putting the weight back on and losing my level of fitness. And this cycle continued for several years. Okay, so fast forward to last year, early May of 2017. And after another cycle of losing weight and then putting it back on again, I found myself weighing in at 240 pounds. I was a few years older, but really no closer to making the kinds of changes that I wanted to make, but more determined than ever to actually make those changes. And I had learned from my mistakes. I knew that what I'd been doing wasn't really working, and that if I was going to try this again, I needed to do something different. I also knew that I needed to work on a lot more stuff than just my weight. I decided that instead of setting some fairly short-term goals, I needed to change my lifestyle. It had become pretty obvious that if I was going to make these changes a permanent part of my life, then I was going to have to break some old habits and set some new ones. So I started off by listing all the things that I wanted to work on and change. And that came to a pretty long list. And I realized that if I was going to incorporate everything in that list and make each of them a lifelong habit, that I was going to have to tackle them one at a time. Just make one new thing a habit at a time before moving on to the next new thing. And that meant that this whole process was going to take a long time. I'm talking years, not months. But I made that okay because I was turning back the clock on decades of bad habits. Years and years and years of not exercising and eating junk food. And years of accumulating the effects of all those bad choices. And I knew that I was not going to turn this around overnight. Like I said, the list of things that I wanted to change was a long one. I didn't want to just lose weight. I wanted to address all the problems of aging. I had lost a lot of muscle mass, and I wanted to restore what I had lost, if not build even more. I had my testosterone tested, and I discovered that I had low T, like every other aging man. And I wanted to see if I could naturally boost my testosterone production. Given the role that testosterone plays in muscle synthesis, I knew that I would need to boost my T levels if I truly wanted to restore my lost muscle mass. I also had erectile dysfunction, and I wanted to see if I could improve that, knowing again that high levels of testosterone would be key. My skin was starting to look like crepe paper. I wasn't as mentally sharp as I used to be. I lost most of my hair. The list goes on and on. What I really wanted to do was to turn back the clock, to roll it back to a time when I looked and felt much younger, when I had more energy and vitality, and really had a zest for living, when I looked forward to each new day and the challenges that it would bring. Now, I've always been a pretty good researcher and a self-motivated learner, and I applied these skills to this new problem, and I expanded my research to include every aspect of the problem that I wanted to change. I scoured the internet for all the information that I could find on the subject. I bought and read books and ebooks. I listened to podcasts. I signed up for all kinds of different online courses, joined all kinds of different forums and discussions. And I rediscovered something that I already knew, and that is that there is a lot of bullshit out there, that there are a lot of people with some weird, wild-ass theory trying to make a buck. Sometimes I could go on the internet and I could find a review about a specific program that I was interested in or that I wanted to try, but more often than not, the only way I could determine if a program was going to be of any specific value to me was to simply try it myself, to invest the money, do the program, and discover for myself if it worked, what kind of results I got, how long it took me to get them. And during this whole process of research and discovery, I kept coming back to one thought, which was, geez, I sure wish that someone could take all this information, separate the science-based, factual stuff that actually works from the snake oil, bogus stuff. Take all this information about aging men and the problems that we face and put it in a single place so that I wouldn't have to search all over the internet to find what I'm looking for. And, I don't know, maybe somebody has, but I still haven't found that place or that person or that website or that YouTube channel. Now, if you found a person or a website or a YouTube channel where they've taken all this information and put it in a single place, please put that location in the comments below. I would love to hear about it. So over the last year, I've tried a whole slew of different programs, techniques, diets, workouts, processes. And you know what I discovered? Some worked. Most didn't work that great, but a few produced results that were superb. So I decided to start a YouTube channel just for myself to keep track of everything that I had learned, to record my progress, to keep a log of everything that I tried and what kind of results I got. So somewhere along the line, that idea merged with the thought that, someone should really take all this information and put it in one place. And voila, the idea for this channel was born. So this channel is going to be a place where I can record everything that I've learned, or think that I've learned, what conclusions I've drawn, what techniques I've decided to implement, and the results that I've obtained from those techniques, along with a record of my progress. And that'll include a spreadsheet with both measurements and test results along a timeline, and of course, photos. And how well does it actually work? Well, first let me say that this is a work in progress, that I am nowhere near where I eventually want to be. But that's kind of the point, right? To start the record, if not at the very beginning, then at least at a point where you guys can observe the progress that I make. Now, having said that, let me give you a few data points. In a little over a year, I have lost about 60 pounds of fat and gained about 10 pounds of new muscle. Now, during most of that period, my focus has been on losing weight, not on building up new muscle. So I actually spent about 2 or 3 months trying to build new muscle. And I think that's where most of the 10 pounds of new muscle came from. But the other 12 months, my focus was on losing weight. And I've gone from 36% body fat down to 14% body fat. My goal is to get to like 10 or 12% body fat. And my plan is to get there, to achieve that, by the end of the summer of 2018. Now, once I get there, my plan is to switch over to building new muscle for the next 9 months. So I've lowered my blood pressure from 175 over 114 down to 122 over 71. Let me say that again. 175 over 114 down to 122 over 71. I've increased my testosterone from 350 nanograms per deciliter, which is really low, to 730 nanograms per deciliter. That's over double. I have doubled my testosterone levels. I've gone from lifting 140 pounds on both the bench press and the deadlift to being able to lift 210 pounds on the bench press and 280 pounds on the deadlift. Now, I know those are not necessarily impressive amounts, but they are substantial gains, especially when you consider that my focus has been on losing weight, not on building new muscle. And finally, I've gone from not being able to do a single chin-up to being able to do 5 sets of 5 reps each. That's 25 chin-ups. I honestly feel that I may be in the best shape of my life. I have more energy and more vitality than I've had in decades. Now, like I've said repeatedly, I am not an expert of any kind, nor am I an authority on the subject matter. I'm just a layperson who has a pretty decent intellect and who has tried a ton of shit. But I've drawn some conclusions from the things that I've learned and the things that I've tried. Now, I want to stress that these conclusions that I've drawn are my personal opinion. That's not to say that there's no science to back them up. It's just that there's no shortage of opinions out there, and they cover the gamut of experience, many of them in direct contradiction with each other. And these are just my opinions. Finally, I'm sharing all of this because I need all the motivation that I can get to stick with this program and to transform all the changes that I'm trying to make in my own life into habits. If I know that I've got an audience out there who is following me to see what kind of results that I can get, to see what kind of changes I can implement in my own life, then the sense of responsibility that I feel towards that following will hopefully provide me with the added impetus that I need to continue with this program. So that's it. That's my story so far. I'm on a journey and I'm nowhere near the end of it. I've been on it for over a year and I'm not yet where I want to be. And I don't plan on getting there for at least another year, maybe 2. And it has not been easy. I've had to completely change the way that I live my life. I work out 5 to 6 days a week, and most days I work out twice a day. I've radically changed my diet, but it's absolutely been worth it. And here's the thing, I still hate to work out, but I do it every day. I still crave pizza and ice cream, and sometimes I eat that, but rarely. The changes that I've made in my lifestyle seem a small price to pay for the benefits that I've gained. I feel that I have truly started to turn back the clock on aging, and I invite you to join with me on my journey. Hopefully, you'll stick around to see what I can achieve over the next year, and maybe join in with me. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit the subscribe button, share it with your friends and on your social media, hit the like button, and click on the bell to be notified when I post a new video every Tuesday. Thanks for watching, and watch for new videos.